Hello, everyone. This is JD Calderon, and this is Indy Comics Explained. And yet again, I brought another fantastic group of independent comic book publishers. And please, once again, hit like, hit subscribe, share out the video, let everybody know we're here. And without further ado, let me bring in this guy, the co-hostest with the mostest.
Hello. No, Mrs. Doubtfire didn't work. No, doesn't pop.
Really.
Who doesn't?
No,
Love
I
Mrs.
mean, you know, it's
Doubtfire?
okay.
I'm cuddly. She's cuddly. You know what I mean? We got the high pitched voice. It works. No similarities. All right. Well, listen. I am JD Rosario from Unstoppable Comics, working on developing this platform with this guy over here, so he can finally hire a producer and get the show running on time. That is our goal. All right. And we got some creators tonight. They're going to help us to reach that goal. So why don't you bring them on, Calderon?
Whoa. What's going on,
up,
Calderon?
What's up, Mr. Coco?
I always want to just call him by his last name, like Rosario does, man.
That's how you do it, baby.
It's not like
That's
a
how
New
you do
York thing or what? Like, just call everyone by their last name, you know?
No, because you know what? My name is really JD, but because this one chose that nom de guerre, right, to avoid confusion, I stick with J. But to stick it to him, I'm not gonna call him JD, so I'll just call him by his last name.
Epic.
Right. Which is fine. So Mr. Niobe,
what's up?
And let everybody know who you are.
I'm LP. I write the comic book Niobe and Savage Sin, and in a week we're gonna campaign the crossover with Ben Dunn, Niobe Penguina #1.
Nice.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, Cat.
Yes.
Yeah, he's my ramen noodle fuck. My name is Christie Shinn. I'm a LA-based creator of Demon Bitch. She's a low-level demon from the 13th pit of hell where people throw their dog shit and gum wrappers. And she wants to bring the second coming of Armageddon because the first one never happened because she's stupid. And she's based on girls I hate. And I currently have a Kickstarter. And he wants a hug. And I'm also president of the Comic Art Professional Society, and I'm located in LA. And I am currently holding steady at 55%.
Nice.
Mr. Marcus, please introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, I am Marcus McNeal, editor-in-chief of Odyssey Comics, based out right here in Southern California. Currently promoting Nobody's Princess #3 on Kickstarter right now, launched this week.
Cool. Jerry, please introduce yourself.
How you doing, guys? I'm Jerry Carita. I'm the owner of Thorny Comics and the writer of a new book that's on Kickstarter right now called Cicada Samurai. I actually reached my funding goal pretty early, so I'm just here to talk.
Very good.
Nice.
Listen.
I got very lucky.
Yes. I mean, look, however more you can pile on, right?
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Of course.
Oh yeah. Funding goes the bare minimum, man. Everything now is icing on the cake, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So, lady and gentlemen, and Cat.
And Cat.
And Cat.
So we've all seen the subject going around the internet, right? Mark Millar was on this interview, and he was being interviewed, and he was asked a bunch of questions, and he proclaimed, he sees that stores are, a lot of the industry is going down, the direct market, that is, right? There are a lot of different factors to the industry, but we're specifically talking about the direct market. So, what is it that you guys see? Do you guys feel that the direct market is kind of going down? And what is it that you think that we, as independent publishers, could do to help it not go down? Right?
Well, I can kind of answer that initially. Let me put this noodle boy down. What it is that what I've learned in the LA area is that when I've seen comic stores succeed or fail, first of all, I think the time for LCS, where you're supposed to have your whole sustainability on comic books only or books alone, that's actually kind of wavering because, with the advent of Amazon and other book retailers, or you can get it directly from the supplier or the company like DC or Marvel and all that, there's just a wide flexibility. So sometimes just even going to the LCS is kind of a hassle. What I've seen work is like the amount of service, like I see people go up and say, hey, did you get my pull box? I want to do my pull box and stuff. Mm-hmm. And they have pulled the comics for you. I mean, they've been doing it for years, but that's one of the things they do. And I've noticed that a lot of people will go there I've noticed that if LCS is making an experience to be there, that's one thing. But if they're just selling books and not doing much of anything, then they tend to go down. Like Collector's Paradise near where I live, and Manhattan Beach Comic Book. The Comic Book, they're also located in Culver City. They always have signings. They have free comic book day with a lot of comic book creators or indie comic creators. Even indie creators can go and say to some of the comic stores and say, hey, would you mind doing a signing? So they'll do signings for you. So it's like sort of like as a creator, you have to bring it to the table. Sometimes maybe put a few books out on consignment. It's not necessarily to make money. It's an investment to do the whole thing of like, hey, there's another artist here. It's like kind of like at a gallery. You don't sell all the pieces at once at a gallery. You just put it there like, this is where my art is. There's another place you can look at. It's an experience. And also another thing that I've seen LCSs do that seem to be successful is that they sell card games or other tabletop games, and then they'll have gaming times. Mm-hmm. So that's what's been surviving in LA, or at least thriving in LA. And they're very active in also the convention scene too. The local convention, like the Comic Bug and Collectors Paradise, teamed up together for LA Comic Con to actually have something going on. They've even been nominated for the Eisners, the comic book. So there you go. So as long as they're really active and like having people engage and just be in the space to have fun, that's what I've noticed.
All right, cool. Marcus, what have you seen? You're also in California, right?
Yep. Me and Christie basically float in the same areas, and we see the similar things, all transpiring. This is a topic that was a big discussion too when I was in Baltimore for the Ringo Awards. It was just like, what can we do to sort of assist the shops and what we see going on? I definitely think that with so many creators, especially in the indie space right now, really need to take that step forward and have those discussions and relationships to build with shops. Not just about getting them to buy your books and get them in there, because that's the goal of everything. It has to be a two-way street. We have to be able to support them from every avenue that we can, so that they can be there to have the ability to host our comics there. So what I do is, I partner with some, great local stores. Got a shop called Quest here in Upland, California. They host all of our Odysseys books. I'll be working with them on getting the signing going. We got 4 Color Fantasies over in Rancho Cucamonga. I typically do free comic book day with them and try to be there as much as possible. Support them with my patronage, of course. But it becomes a really sort of difficult thing to surmise because, they're up against everything that's going on in the direct market right now too, which is very disruptive. And then in the slowing economy of that too, working in business in the corporate world right now, it's not just LCSs that are struggling. If you got Walmarts and Targets and things like that aren't doing the business that they're used to doing, of course, when it comes to comic book shops, things like that, things that people can easily cut out of their finances, or find a cheaper avenue to do so, especially with digital being as big as it is right now, then it really turns into an uphill battle. So I think that's the time when the community, not just from the creator base, but from patrons and fans of comics of all sorts, needs to start rallying around the shops and do what they can. And the shops themselves have to also work and make sure that they're open and responsive and receptive to, whatever anyone might bring to the table that could be mutually beneficial for them.
All right, cool. Jerry, you got any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm a lot newer to this whole game than I think most of you guys are. This is my first book. I've only really been working with a publisher, a group of friends of mine, at Blue Juice Comics for the last 2 years, going to conventions and trying to help them sell their books around. And I remember about 2.5 years ago, my buddy, who is the EIC of the editor-in-chief at Blue Juice, he was telling me about how books, it was the first time I really sat down and had someone explain to me how books get from him publishing them to on a store in a comic book shop. And at the time, it was before a couple of the bigger publishers started making deals with like Penguin and other distributors. Everything was through Diamond. Diamond was the only game in town, right? And I remember him describing that whole thing to me. And I remember what I said to him out loud in the moment was that it sounded crazy to me that was the system. And what I said was, I can't believe that whole operation hasn't been replaced by like an app or a website or something. Like, it's like what I think Marcus was just kind of saying, like everyone is struggling in different ways right now. I think people just have to adapt. And so I agree with Christie that like stores that diversify what they're selling and the experience of going there, those survive because people have a reason to walk in the door. You can get your comics without walking into a comic shop. You know, you can do it digitally. There's a lot of easier ways that are lower impact, lower friction to do it. And so you need to adapt and come up with ways to get people to come in the door. And I mean, like, look at people like us, like the process of making a book and then eventually putting it on a store. There's so many gatekeepers between the idea in your head, you putting it on paper, and it being on a store in the middle of the country, you know, that's not near your house. That's not a store you have a direct relationship with. There are so many steps and so many gatekeepers that, you know, we've all found in different ways that it's better to go directly to the fans. And all these people like descended on Kickstarter and Zoop and all these other crowdfunding platforms. And it's because, you know, it's harder and harder for comic shops to take a risk on someone like us, who we're all going to make a book for a couple of months. We might disappear for a few months. We're not going to be there every month all the time, putting out the product, a mass amount of product that like Marvel, DC, Image, these other places are. So it's hard to build those relationships, and like everyone just kind of has to adapt. And like, I think that it's hard for everyone. I think stores do need to figure out a way to keep people coming in. And the way that we help them is to not forget them. Is to just, you know, after we have something, we use Kickstarter to kickstart our project. And then once we get it and we can make it, we can publish it, you know, we should be looking for ways to put it in comic shops, because there are still a lot of people looking for that relationship with a local comic shop. And they shouldn't be lost because, you know, you can get it digitally or you can buy it direct on you know, Amazon or a Kindle and read it without ever, you know, joining the community. You know what I mean? We should all be working towards keeping that community thriving.
Yeah, I think also here's an aside too. It's like, I think creators have to think more about bringing more to the table, but kind of think outside the box, like with events. Like for me, I have a good relationship with the guys at the Comic Bug. And what I did is kind of a joke out of COVID, because on the West Coast, we like kept shutting down because of COVID. I just said, well, you know, I heard about this and that about COVID, and just to make a joke out of it in general, because like everybody's miserable. Everybody's trying to get out of lockdown. Everybody's kind of like semi-depressed or discouraged, like in some of the areas of the States or parts of the country, they have to lock down over and over again. I did one called Asian Invasion. It was like thumbing my nose at a lot of shit there. And I just got a bunch of my Asian creator friends, because they really wanted, at the time, they wanted to go to, this was around the time of Emerald City or Rose City Comic Con. So they're really wanting to go. And then it gets shut down at the last minute. I said, all right, this is pissing me off. So I just said to June is the head of the Comic Bug, and he's Japanese, so I know he's not going to give me shit for this. I said, well, let's do Asian Invasion, Yellow Peril, fuck it. So I just got some Asian creators. I mean, it wasn't a huge thing. It was like 7 people, maybe 10 people. We got people in there, and we just got them to sell their books, and it was a great morale booster. Then I had people like asking me over and over again to do it. So I did it, and then all of a sudden I got asked to do it up in Oakland, in the Bay Area, where I'm originally from. I'm not from Oakland, but the Bay Area. And that was like a huge thing. And it was like really weird for what a small show was. Now they want to make it a permanent thing, because in NorCal, like, they don't really have that many comic stores or comic stuff anymore, which is sad. I mean, there was Silicon Valley Comic Con, but after Wozniak, I think, got over it, and then Adam Savage just took it over, it just went nowhere, which sucks. And then so there, you got to bring something to the table. And also, here to expand on this, Jerry, and I know that's sort of trajectorying off a certain thing, but I find out that big publishers will start paying attention to you if you like fund 3 to 4 successful Kickstarters. So it's like, they know that you are dedicated to your product, rather than, oh yeah, we take you on and you fuck off after like 1 comic. So they know that you've got staying power. They know you've got, like, you don't have to have millions of followers. If you do, great. I mean, you build up, that's fine. Like Pat Chan, like, makes fucking almost I think he hit 1 million with his recent Kickstarter. But that's like after engineering that thing like crazy. But you build up your own following. And he even was like going, I don't need half like the aggravation and shit with like publishers, because I can completely do my own thing. And some people are really good at that. So it's also maybe taking some publishers out of the equation, but also you're getting noticed by publishers when you go and like run at least 4 to 5. I think it's like 3 to 4 I heard last time. Now it might have changed. Successful Kickstarters. So I mean, there's a lot of malleability.
Yeah, I was more just saying that, you know, I have 1 issue of a book out right now. Like I didn't even in my Kickstarter, I actually had a couple of retailers reach out to me and ask about a retailer tier, which I didn't do because in my head I was like, if I was a retailer, why would I want the one issue of this one book that you don't know if issue number 2 is ever coming out? Because as a comic book shop, I have to convince my clients to, my customers to buy that book. I don't want to sell a book and then have the issue 2 never come out. Jerry Carita, Thorny Comics might disappear tomorrow. You just don't know. So it's just a hard thing for them to take a risk on indie people, when they know they can sell capes and tights and they know Batman is coming out again next month. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a hard. If they're going to pick, they're going to pick the thing that they know is coming back.
Yes, it's based in Maryland.
Oh yeah.
Baltimore,
But they have a few warehouses, at least 2. There used to be 3 or 4 around the country.
Yeah.
I think they have a UK division too, actually.
Yeah,
They do. Yes,
they do.
Yeah.
Larry, what are your thoughts?
Wow. All right. Well, you guys covered a lot of different subjects in that whole thing. Everywhere from Mark Millar to comic book shops closing to getting your books into comic book shops and having those relationships. So there's a lot for me to talk about here, but let's start with Mark Millar. Mark Millar, he's a guy that's been around the block. Yes. Okay. He's got some credit in this industry, a little bit of say, a little bit of know-how, right?
I'd say he's a,
A little bit.
he's a slightly well-known person. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, one of the first things he talked about was how comic books are declining. There is no doubt about it that the mainstream is in decline. It's been in the decline ever since the early 2000s. The 90s boom has been over. It's been over for a long time. But and a lot of these shops, that have closed, a lot of them came from that time period, when comic books were on fire and there was no stopping it. And then when that bubble burst, then we started to see the shops sort of drop by the wayside. Mark Millar's whole thing was, on Twitter, is that he witnessed the closing of a shop, right? And he had made comments on this. And he had a couple different ideas, One of the things that he had said, and this was a couple of days prior to that tweet, was that comic book companies need to bring back comic book legends into their comic books to save them. So in other words, bring back Jim Lee and the X-Men, get Mark Silvestri drawn, get, all these, get Todd McFarlane drawn Spider-Man. So like, if you could pull that off, that would save comics. And I'm like, I disagree with that to a point. Well, it'd be cool, right? If you had all these guys come back and, there's enough buzz to set things aflame and people are out buying comics, but that'd be a short-term fix for a long-term problem, right? That'd be a Band-Aid, because those guys aren't going to stay around forever. They're already up there in age, and their speed certainly has dropped considerably from what they used to be. The only guys really drawing consistently, would be probably Eric Larson, right? Still doing Savage Dragon to this very day. The rest of them are sort of doing it kind of part-time,
Yeah, but he's never going to leave that book.
No, he's never going to leave that book, right?
made his money.
Yep.
How do you save the comic book shop? Well, that's been an age-old question that we've been tossing around for years, seemingly now, right? But why don't comics sell? Well, I mean, there's a variety of reasons. There's price, there's availability, there is lost interest in the stories, there is too many reboots and crossovers. The list goes on, right? So, I mean, you have to correct all those problems. But big thing is, I think the younger generation has lost interest in comics. They look at comics as something that their dad reads or their grandpa reads. It's something they found up in the attic somewhere, where a lot of them now have turned to manga, right? And so instead of comic book shops, it's pretty much going to turn into manga shops, My comic book shop sells a lot of manga. I was in there the other week. I was just watching kids buy manga. I was standing there watching them, as I'm picking up my books. And I told to the guy, I said, how many 14-year-olds have pull lists in here? He said, pretty much none, right? And I said, well, why is that? Well, the dads have the pull list. Maybe they set something up for the kids, but generally kids are buying manga, And so we have to find a way to compete with manga. If you really want comic book shops and comic books as we know it to sort of stay alive. And that's a hard road to follow,
Well, the question as I have for you, Larry, is it a matter of are we truly competing with manga, or are we truly competing with format?
Both.
Is this an issue of comics or format?
Both.
Because, right. But the thing is, like we know Dogman comes in a similar format to manga, not the same size. It's a little bit, it's usually 8.5, it's usually 8.5 by 5.5. And it does very well, exceedingly well.
Yeah.
Probably better than any manga.
Well, the
Um,
floppy format's dated, and the reason why it's dated is, it's floppy, right? These books that the kids buy now are a lot thicker. You
Mhm.
buy a manga, you're getting 200-page book, right? You buy a floppy, you're getting a 24-page book on average, right? And they
Mhm.
cost a lot. They're $5,
Oh yeah.
So you get more bang for the buck. What the kids don't understand, that the older comic book collectors do understand, is that comic books are more collectible than manga in the sense that you can collect them for investment, okay, and flip. Some people make a great living flipping comic
Mhm.
books, where manga is almost like disposable reading. It's like when you buy Archie at the supermarket. You know what I mean? They're
I
not
haven't seen
being.
Archie in the supermarket in years, bro.
They still got them here in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Oh, that's good though.
Oh, they got Archie here too. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
A
But
lot of
there's like
supermarkets.
they're making it kind of emo, like they branched him out to be like more realistic, like they did Riverdale like 1945 or something, where Archie goes off to war and things like that, or they did Riverdale, and I'm like, God, you have to make everything fucking emo. I understand that it's like you want to make shit more interesting,
Yeah,
but I think
I would
Go
like
on.
to see Archie in the Vietnam War. I think that'd be interesting.
Well, that would be more, I guess, up to date.
They've
Or
certainly done some weird things with Archie over the years, for sure, man.
Um,
But to finish
would be
off,
Jughead.
Christie, has a shop, sounds much like mine, where my shop has a lot of comics, but they also dabble in the Magic cards, the Warhammer 40K, the Pokemon, the Yu-Gi-Oh, and whatever the hot sort of game is at the moment. Large gaming area upstairs, but they're also, and this goes to the point of Marcus here, they're also very independent, creator friendly, right? So my shop is really great for bringing in local talent, and they have a whole shelf dedicated to local guys and people around the region, and so my books get to go up there, and that's cool. As far as being in shops in the middle of the country, I think someone said, I'm actually probably the one, I am in, I'm in that position, right? We are published, Niobe's published. We're published through Antarctic Press, and it's been a great relationship that we've had with Ben Dunn now for a couple of years. In fact, I got my diamond ad ready to show you guys now. You know what I mean?
Is that what you
Yeah,
got there?
what it is. Yeah, man. You can still order it right now. So this is how we get into shops across the country, right? Not necessarily, do we have to do it on our own? The great thing about Antarctic Press is they don't take away your creator rights. So you can go ahead and run your Kickstarters. Absolutely. Get that book made and get that money. And then for the work that you've already done, okay, you can now have it reprinted and distributed to Diamond and through shops, not only across the country, but across the world. Now, Antarctic Press isn't Image Comics. They're not Marvel. They're not the biggest thing, but they're certainly one of the longest running companies in the business. Antarctic Press has been around for 38 plus years. They haven't folded up shop like many of these other small publishers, and they got a legacy behind them that no one can deny. So my suggestion is, if you want to be in shops, maybe consider going through a publisher that won't take away your rights, like Antarctic, and see what you can do. Help us make an impact.
Yeah, definitely. But hold on. To Tom's point, here we go.
Tom's another guy that's part of Antarctic. He's signed Critter to Antarctic, which will be coming out in 2024.
I tell you, he says nobody buys comics. What's wrong with this guy?
I think it's like with floppies, it's harder to get because floppies tend to get more destroyed easily. And then sometimes like people don't want to wait a month for the next story arc; they just want to buy it. And I've noticed the competitor to manga, like tactile manga books, like Shonen Jump, like the collection, is probably the American graphic novel. Like when I kickstart my books, it's the graphic novel because people have a satisfying chunk to read. They feel justified in buying the price point, and the book is more sturdier than the floppy, and they're easier to transport because, like, you nick a floppy, you downgraded the price like you wouldn't believe or the value, and nobody really wants to buy it. So, I mean, unless there's variant covers, and I'm not crapping on the collector's thing, but there you go. It's just that I think also what another factor of manga that people don't understand is that they write story and they don't give a shit how they do it. They'll just write a story. Like at Dragon Ball Z, people said, how come you don't have like diversity of people in this Dragon Ball Z? And the guy who draws Dragon Ball Z and created said, go fuck yourself. I'm from Japan.
I got a comment on Tom's thing there. He says like Brian Polito doesn't, could bring that comment back up. Ask Brian Polito if manga is affecting his sales. It's all about catering to the audience you want to serve. But that's not what we're talking about. Brian Polito caters to an adult audience, especially those who are very reminiscent of the 90s and bad girl genre. The thing is how do we stop comic books from dying? Is that we need younger readers to buy comics. Younger readers aren't reading Brian Pulido, right? We need younger readers to come back to reading X-Men and Spider-Man and all the things they sort of forsaken in comics and sort of only catch up with in the cartoons and movies. We need them back to reading comics, but they're reading manga. That's the problem.
Go on. I was just.
Hold on, Christy. Let Jay get a shot at this. Go.
Yeah. What was the question again? Because we're all over the place. I want to make sure I'm focused and zeroed in.
It's on top. It's on top of the page.
Is Mark Millar right? Comic shop dying, and then you said, "What can we do to help them?"
Right. What can we do as independent comic book publishers?
Okay.
Help our LCSs. There you go. Go for it.
All right.
Go for it.
All right. From a business standpoint, we don't even know how many comic book shops there are in the nation right now. Okay, numbers fluctuate depending on who you ask, and I'm talking about publishers between 1,900 stores and 2,500 stores. How come there's no exact number of that? What? All right, and we know in the heyday, Larry brought this up, in the 90s, there were approximately 10,000 shops. So are they declining? Yes, the trend is going down. Right, they haven't spiked back up. What can we do to help that? Shit, we're still trying to figure out how to make books and how to sell books. I mean, can we figure out the business plan for each individual comic book shop out there? I think we can, especially when we're trying to figure out how to sell books on our own. All right, a lot of people here are, I'm not trying to knock Jerry, newbies. Okay, but then there's people.
Get him, Jerry. Get him. Get him. Get him.
But
I've had that happen. Someone storm off set once. It was great.
That was a good move. I like it.
Yeah.
But then there are some of us that have been around the block for a little bit. Okay, we've got more than 3 or 4 campaigns under our belt, and good. But again, we're still struggling to keep our lights on. You want to figure out how to help comic book shops? Well, maybe go to Comics Pro. All right, maybe speak to Jen Hines, who is the head of Comics Pro that owns a shop over in Canada. What is she doing? What can you do to help the shops? Well, let's look at Let's look at this from the beginning. These shops are not designed to sell us, plain and simple. Okay, if we get in, we're the add-on. We're the. Do you want fries with that? Okay, we're the generic Robitussin on the pharmacy shelf.
Jay, do you want ketchup?
Do you want ketchup? No, because ketchup is tossed in the bag already. All right,
that's pretty much.
So if you want to get back down to it, right? It's how do you make yourself a draw? How do you make yourself an attraction? How do you make yourself visible enough that people want you and are asking for you? That's how you're going to help comic book shops. Because if you make yourself attractive enough, all right, then people are going to want your book. And if the only way they have access to your book is through a comic shop, they're going to ask for it there. When you do a shop, do more than just a signing, right? I mean, a signing, sorry, guys, I've seen a lot of people at conventions, and they're like this. This is it, all right? Nobody is talking to the people that are coming to their booth. That is a big fucking problem. I don't care. All right, I'm a little mouse, right? I'm that. What's that, Lily? That the wallflower, right? I'm a shy person.
Oh, I'm an introvert. I don't want to sound.
Yeah, this is the wrong gig for you.
That
or
too.
bring somebody with you that can talk, so you can do that. All right. I mean, you're shooting yourself in the foot, and if you're doing that at a convention, you're definitely going to do that at a signing if you get into the shop to do that. And that's 2 hours of boredom, and the person who owns the shop is never going to bring you back again. So that's not how you help the shop. You bring an experience with you, all right? One of the things I have in my past is I was a vendor, not of comic books, but of beer, and that's one of the things Champion brought up. We had a great portfolio, and we would do launches at different supermarkets, bodegas, and bars, all right? And I learned that promotional aspect from there. Christy, I'm sorry. I hate to say this like this, right? But you bring the ladies, you bring the boobs, because this is This is a male. She's gonna walk off the camera now, right?
No,
Listen,
no. I mean, it's funny because like it's hilarious because they it's funny because like okay, so I make a character named Demon Bitch, which is supposed to be gross and nasty, and she's a whore, but yet they call me Demon Bitch, and it's a compliment, and nobody like fucks with me, so that's funny. And then I start talking to them. I use a lot of bad words, but yet they like it. And the thing is that I try to, I guess I just naturally perform. And it's funny because like my friend Mog, like if you guys are familiar with Mel and Mog, Mog, damn, you fucking hustle. But the thing is that when people do sales or they sell, they think it's supposed to be boring. Like they have this misconception of what selling is, which is lame. And they think, well, I got to go and be this. And no, it's kind of like actors and actresses in this way. Yes, they're playing a character and all that, but if you notice that they just play a section of themselves on screen, that's what they're trained to do, to embody that character. People think, oh, actors are the most flamboyant. Not really. They're sometimes the most shyest people in the world that are like, I don't fucking want to talk to anybody afterwards. And it's not like they're deliberately being jerky, but it's just like, so Demon Bitch, the persona that I have on screen, is going to be slightly different when I'm like hanging out. Like I hung out with Marcus for a little bit after Comic-Con Revolution. That was after the con, and it's like I switched out of Demon Bitch mode. But it's not like I'm totally different. It's just like I'm more out there.
And you have to be. You have to be. Because if you want to capture sales, I'm not saying you've got to be the carnival barker. No. Right? No. But you could be welcoming as if somebody's coming into your house for the first time. Right? Oh. It's polite, it's conscientious, and you're giving people an experience. And that's what is at the end of the day you have to do to create sales.
Yeah, and the thing is that if you want to get in the mode, what helps you get in the mode is put on your performance gear. Now, it doesn't need to be like fancy shit. Like I wear fancy shit, but that's me, right? But the thing is that some people, like when they get in that mode, it's like black shirt, jeans, and that's my Comics Con mode. That some people do that, or some people say, I have this jacket, I put that on, I'm in work mode. Like it can be as subtle as that. Like I've known people that sell, like Lonnie Millsap, tall black dude. I think you met him, right, Marcus? I don't know if you met him. Yeah. He runs the same. He's like a big guy, but he's gentle as hell. But if he was like all up in your face, I mean, that would be a little bit intimidating. But Lonnie's a very laid back guy. You can adjust to your personality to sell very well. He'll be like, oh, hi, take a card. Do this, do that.
Yeah. Just be engaging, make eye contact. Simple stuff. All right. It's not prom night. If you want to be in this industry, all right, if you want to have a successful creative journey in comic books, you need to break out of your shell. If you want to know how to help comic book shops, well, then, take a trip to Comics Pro, see what the majority of comic shop owners are dealing with, and see if you can fill one of the many voids that they're dealing with. All right.
Shout out to my boy Ichthus.
Yeah, but you gotta figure out how to make a book first. And you got to figure out how to sell it, and then you got to make sure you make it memorable so people continue to ask for it.
All right, fair enough. I mean, for myself, it's like everybody else. I mean, I think when it comes down to just getting your books out there, I think one of the key things, I look at the previews every month, right? I'm one of these people. I go to my comic shop, I pick up the damn catalog, and I look through every page. I go through every page every month. It's a ritual I go through every month. It's just something I do. And the one thing I notice is that there are a lot of basic rules that independent publishers and even some of the major publishers don't follow when it comes down to cover graphics, right? And it's very simple rules. Get a cover that's engaging. Get a logo that's clean and visible, right? Sometimes you end up with these little logos with these skinny little lines. And, when it's printed 2 inches by 2 inches or 1 inch by 2 inches, you can't see the damn logo, right? So you have to be able, it's like they say, Eric Larson says, what's the greatest logo ever invented? He said it was ROM, right? ROM space now, ROM in red. You can see that sucker 3 blocks away, So you have to try to think of that when you're creating your logo. And even with the graphics on the cover, it doesn't necessarily have to be a sexy chick, but it has to be something engaging. I can't even tell you how many times I've seen independent covers, and it's like, it's like one of these things where it's a hand sticking out of a grave or something like that. It's just like, really? You paid someone for that? I knew a guy back in the day, he had paid Larry Stroman to do a cover for him, and the cover was someone's hand coming out of a grave. I said, dude, you had Larry Stroman available to you. You paid this guy X, whatever you paid him, and you had him do a hand coming out of a grave. I'm like, dude,
How many
you could have
years did
done
it
anything.
take Larry to finish that?
This was back in the day when Larry was very, very, he was young and hungry. So
Right.
I don't think it took him that long. So I think he could have done a full figure. He could have done something really action packed that would have. I think it had a little bit more impact than just that hand. So that's just one of the things, because we were talking about what is it that's going to attract people to your books in a comic book shop, and you have to try to outdo what's already out there, right? You have to try to compete with Marvel and DC with at least your cover graphics, right? So you have to try to get the best artists you can get and get a really nice cover on it. And it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be a sexy lady, but it has to be something engaging, it has to be something grabbing, and it's not something that I'm seeing every month from a lot. Like I would say like 90%. And this isn't, like I said, just the indies. This is from Marvel and DC as well. I see, look at a lot of their covers, and it's just like, okay. A lot of the editors are not paying attention, but that's their job. No.
Covers are not telling a story. It's just one pose that could have been a pinup or a trading card or some promotional image. I mean,
right. But I mean, it also depends on who's doing it. If it's Arthur Adams doing that pinup, then it'll hold, right? If it's Brian Boland, it'll hold. But it's it depends.
He's developed that name to get to that point.
Yeah, well, it's not just the name, not just the name. This is the style. You can recognize the stuff in a heartbeat. But anyway, Jay, you're up. Do it.
All right. So, leading into a little bit of what I was talking about right now, people being wallflowers, right? Being very timid. What is the one thing in your creative journey that you have not pulled the trigger on doing, but you need to do?
Marcus.
Oh man, this is falling on me.
It falls on you, sir.
It's it's a good one because it's something I've thought about a lot and has actually been on my mind quite a lot. Because I know one of the biggest struggles that I've faced personally, and we faced at Odyssey Comic Books, is that being a publisher, and my job is typically on the business side of things and helping everybody out there. There's no sort of centralized persona that people can gravitate around, which is a big key thing in the indie comic scene, because that's what separates us from the big boys, is having more of a personal relationship with our fans and with our supporters. And I know that for Odyssey to get to the next level, I sort of need to pivot myself into more of that, So I have to, read up on my Stan Lee biographies and everything like that, and figure out how I could do it. Now, that's also a hard thing for me because, Odyssey is doing a lot. We're growing a lot. Actively developing and the editor on 10 projects right now as we speak. Still having a full-time job too, and being a father, and there's just not enough time in the day all the time. So I would love to get a YouTube channel up to engage with people more, maybe do TikToks and things like that. But how I work it into the schedule, how I can do it, it becomes tough, and that's the hard part when you're small. Even if you're more of a out there personality, and I'm quite a bit of an extrovert and everything like that, but it becomes a matter of practicality, how you can really feasibly work it into the schedule when you're doing so much. And unfortunately, that's where we're at right now. But I think it behooves everyone, no matter what you do, to try to build that a little bit. And what I've mainly done is I've done that through Kickstarter as a platform. So I engage with people there more. I talk to backers and advance their stuff all the time. Pretty much anybody that messages me, that they always get a response from me, everything like that. So it's become sort of like insular there, to where I know every time that we drop something, I'm going to see the same probably 90 names come up on the campaign all the time, because those are people that keep coming back. Like we have Nobody's Princess up right now. It's both a good thing and a bad thing right now, but probably 95% of the backers that we have right now are return backers. They're the Odyssey faithfuls who will come and support the things that we do. The next part here is finding the people beyond those who we see, back every campaign and come back, and that's the tougher part. That's the bigger mountain to climb. But I get really really grateful for the people who come out and do that. And I want to do more of that. I want to build more people under that fold. And I think really finding any sort of omni-channel methodology that you can do, whether it's you got Substack going, whether you're doing YouTube, whether you're doing TikTok, engagement. And all I'm trying to do is just tune it up.
Okay. Interesting. Jerry?
I'm not sure I remember what the question was now. I still see as Mark Millar, right? Our comics dying.
What are you not doing in your creative journey that you know you need to do? Right? What is there blaring you? I mean, just boom, boom, boom. I got to do it. But you just haven't pulled the trigger on it yet.
I mean, I'm so early in this that I don't know that I know what the answer is. I don't think I know enough about what the journey is going to be. Like I'm before comics, I'm a television producer. I do a lot of unscripted TV, reality TV stuff. And I kind of got into comics because I worked on Comic Book Men. And I've only the last 2 years kind of developed an interest in moving into this as a career. I'm only on my first book. I really don't know what the thing that's staring, like I feel like a year from now, I'll have something staring me in the face that I just need to do, and I'll be able to answer that. But I really don't know what it is right now.
You got to fuck something up. I think that's okay.
Yeah, and I haven't done that yet. I just started. I haven't even done anything wrong yet. That I'm aware of.
Okay. No worries, covered.
But that's kind of what it is. Thank you. But that's kind of what it is. I don't know what it is yet. I think taking the plunge to do this was something that's been staring me in the face for a little over a year. So, I already made that first step, and I don't know what the next goal is going to be. And kind of, like Marcus was saying, I've also got, I'm a father. I have 3 kids, varying ages, who are all like, I'm helping them on their journey. I have a day job. I'm publishing and editing other people's work as well as writing my own. So I don't know. I'm kind of dipping my toe into a lot of different pools, and I haven't figured out which one I want to swim in yet. But as soon as I'm drowning, I'll come back and I'll tell you guys what it is I need to do to not drown.
Don't drown. Pay attention to us who've drowned already, right? and try to save your neck. Where are you based out of?
I'm in New York. I'm in Brooklyn.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. We'll talk after the show.
Yeah, he's out of Brooklyn too.
No, good.
Yeah, I'm in Woodside, Queens.
Oh, cool. I'm in Bath Beach. I grew up in Bay Ridge.
Gotcha.
Okay. I'm off the Bell Parkway. All right. Let's keep going. Christie, what is it that you haven't done yet that you know you need to do?
What didn't I fucking do? I noticed it's like funny. At some point, like I get my ass restricted on Facebook, even though I'm not doing shit. And yet I get all this money in for my fucking Kickstarter in the first week. It's really good. It's like whenever they restrict me, it's like there was this one time I said I wanted to hit Demon Bitch on the head with a lead pipe, and they restricted me for inciting violence. I said, it's my own character, you dumbass. But then, and since I'm the president of the Comic Art Professional Society, at the next meeting, it's like, wait, you got restricted, didn't you? I said, yes. And so that everybody had a good laugh. So I don't know. It's like, I wish I could do more of the social media thing, but it's a lot of investment mentally, because it's like, I'm pretty decent at it. I pick it up from the rest of my friends. I mean, I'm not outing Marcus, but Marcus has more expertise in that. So he's like, we were chatting about it, and he said, yeah, Facebook ads are fucking shitty. Like you pay for
Facebook ads. Yeah, no.
Yeah, like
even when they're not what they were a year ago.
Yeah, 6 months ago. Because like when I first tried Facebook ads, it was like not even like any sort of logic. It was like, here's this demographic, you pay this much, but like the questions they asked were like so not intuitive, I guess, Marcus. They didn't follow any logic. Like, I'm trying to reach this demographic, like that would be logical. I'm trying to do this. No, it's like, yeah, in this area, which sort of makes sense. And then it's like, yeah, well, yeah, we're going to kind of do it in this way. And you're like,
yeah.
Why am I paying?
Now they've taken it off into this like whole different suite now and try to basically say like, design your ad, give it to us, we'll figure out what to do with it.
No, they don't. Don't let them figure it out. Because if you let them figure it out, they're gonna let you. They're gonna leave you in Facebook Marketplace, where you're selling your book to 60-year-olds looking at flea markets, right?
Yeah.
And you none of them are going to buy your books, but they took away the keywords. There was a point, and it went from keywords to key phrases to key genres, right? To just genres.
Oh.
And it's like, no, that's too broad of a spectrum.
And then these pieces of shit on top of that, like I would talk to my friends because my friends are, oh yeah, we'll back it. And like I'll put in like the landing page and everything like months ahead in advance. So it's not like I just do everything like half-assed, but it's just Facebook, downgrades it and stuff, right? And I have a life. I can't be policing it every single moment of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So here I am, like I'm IMing my friends, like, and it's not even this wall of text shit with a link. Like, by the way, if people do that, that's the primary way of how I ignore anybody's Kickstarter site. Here's like this whole thing and link. It's like, you're not even going to talk to me. What the fuck is this? So it's like, I try to start it off with a conversation like, hey, what's up? Blah, blah, blah. And guess what? I use very little like text and I put up a link, but then even Facebook was restricting my IMs to my people, to my friends. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, it wasn't even, I was even starting to spam them. It would just randomly, like, just not send the message. And it would just hold me in restriction. And I said, wow, how did I, like, get a restriction? You could actually give me a warning or some shit, but they didn't even do that. Yeah, so it's like they're kind of doing little shitty things. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I wish I could invest a lot more time and brain power into social media stuff, or at least have it down to a formula where it's simple and I can integrate it, but they're always changing it. So it's pretty my thing.
Larry, you're up, brother.
I was on mute. I think for me, I got to set up the Niobe Comics website, and online shop, right? We don't have an official site, you know what I mean? We sell through eBay and trying out Whatnot and Gumroad, but we need like what Brian Polito has. We need our own version of coffincomics.com. So that's something I've been really procrastinating on that I need to get done. And the only other thing I'll say is we need our production needs to get faster.
Yeah, I understand that.
So
everyone
simple
needs
answer for that one.
Calderon, where you at with this, kid?
I think putting on the backpack, walking all 50 states, and writing my memoir. I think that's the one.
You
can't
make it. You won't make it 20 miles.
Probably not. No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think there's some stuff that I have in the pipeline that I'm going to be doing in the next 6 months, hopefully. But it's just a matter of just finishing the Oswald Chronicles. That's really the thing. It's just getting it done, man. It's just like, that's the thing. And I mean, as far as the other thing is like, as far as getting like what's glaring in my eye to get done, it's that. But it's also to get these other properties that I've been working on, that I've had around for years. Dreamweaver, whether it be Tall Tales, Dreamweavers, Reaver, Starpoint. I have all these other things that I've worked on over the years, and they're just sitting there. I primarily been working on Oswald, but that's another one. Is like it's my monster, but it's all of those. I want to get them done. So
okay,
yeah. What about you, sir?
I hate to say this, but I need to be firmer with the team. So I work with quite a few collaborators that have yet to finish projects that they're getting paid to do, and that ties up the money in the pipeline, and that also screws up the schedule because there's other collaborators who are waiting on pages to get done so that way they can get their work done. And then that continues to back up the cycle because now we have books which were scheduled to be released not coming out on time, right? So when you go back down to the bottom of it, you got to be firmer with the team and not just set target production dates, but follow up on it and follow up on it throughout the process of it. Because if you just think, oh yeah, no, I'll show this person, they'll get it done. It's not going to happen. And I got to do that. I got to stop being the nice guy, and I gotta tighten the screws a little bit because when the books aren't coming out, that screws up everybody else's money too.
You need to work on your workflow.
100 fucking And if I'm ever going to level up, I need to lock this down. Because if I can't do that, then forget about getting anything else accomplished. Right? When this is the stuff under my roof that I have direct control over.
I'm just kind of laughing because, like, I must have inherited my Asian mom's presence because people's ass sometimes. It doesn't take much, so I'm kind of wondering. Maybe I'm kind of fearless because my family's ethnically Korean. So imagine having like wartime parents, like parents that were kids during the war, on your ass. Okay, that's like corporal. That's corporal military, almost like regimentation, and it's weird because it's like. I haven't had an issue, but then I'm not dogging on you, but then I had a mom that was pretty fucking corporal and high driven. So there's tiger mom shit. So it's like, I don't know if it's like I would subject anybody to that level of pressure, and then you learn how to channel that to people. I will say that the people that I work with, like in CAPS and other things, it's like I'm a lot more dialed back, but it's there. So
see, I went into this dialed back. But dialed back means that people are going to walk all over you.
I mean, as I said, I think like I'm not going to go like, at least with my upbringing, it was really intense, let's say. So I'm not trying to judge yours or something. Just with mine, it was like very corporal, very structured, very everything. I don't know how yours was. I'm not trying to say yours was terrible or lackadaisical. I'm just saying you probably had vacation time compared to.
Christy, feel free to judge him. Feel free to judge him. Feel free to judge him. Because you know what? We all need a little demon and we all need a little bitch in our lives, right? So here we go.
What? A segue.
That's a segue. That's a segue, brother.
All right.
Oh, yeah, Christy, making that money, baby.
You want me to play this video?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Oh, there's. Can't hear it.
Go back to her walking the red carpet. Let me see her walk the red carpet, dude.
It has to be loud.
If you don't know what the fuck that is, well, you've been living under a rock and I can't help your stupid ass.
No.
Oh yeah, I am also doing a thing that might bring the end of humanity. That's right, I'm making a demon bitch children's book. What can I say? As I'm doing more and more kids shows, I have infiltrated their minds with my art, and they all love it. My new inspiration is called Demon B Meets Mr. F Word, with the important message of how words and language matter. Anyway, Stephen Prince of Monster Matador fame wrote the foreword because he has kids. You should know that these young minions make him look remarkably soulless at times with the crap that they do to him, but they love me. Okay, back to the important shit. You'll get signed copies of the books through Kickstarter. And here's the ensemble of good artists that are fucking slumming it by creating more shit for any of you glorious assholes willing to spend a little more money. There's Mog Park, and why the fuck does she draw her sexy? There is Zoralita Bellamy of My Little Pony fame, who draws cute shit, so I don't know why she ever consented to this. Lawrence Raw Dog Hubbard, who you and I both know why he fucking consented to this. You get these signed prints on really nice paper, but whatever. I'm not nice, the paper is. You all fucking suck and I want to cry. So in addition to this frenzy of bullshit, including a pin called I Am Shitbird, these pins were designed by Hyde Hermit Studios, who have really decided to downgrade themselves by taking part in this project. Also, there's a magnet, too, of Demon Bitch humping something. Why Demon Bitch? Why Shitbird? I will tell you why. It's because of every dumb motherfucking piece of shit that has ever annoyed me, thinking that somehow my comic is all about them when they're basic as fuck, and then still gets mad at me when I say people like them are literally a dime a dozen. So, if people want to suck like Shitbird and piss me off, they can go the fuck ahead and I will keep making fucking money. I don't care. Which reminds me, I also compiled a bunch of crap for my stretch goals. I might even make a blank version of the pin available so that people can use a dry erase marker to fuck it up over and over again, because why not? It's your money anyway. And from there, I've got another Demon Bitch pin waiting in the wings because she also sucks, and why should Shitbird take all the glory home? And there's more, including a patch, and holy shit, you're making me torture myself. I'm all pissed off now. Gotta go make some shitty art because I'm really hating people now. Seriously, I do fucking hate you all, and I can't believe you watched this entire video. Now go buy my shit.
Most honest Kickstarter video ever.
Yeah, yeah. Welcome to the Rated X tag on Indie Comics Explained.
Well, I will say every time somebody pledges, I write a rude thank you note almost immediately afterwards, if not same day. I'll write some shit too. Like sometimes I'm like, oh man, I don't know if they want to pledge now. See, and then I put a nice picture of myself.
That's why you lost that big pledge, huh? They read your thing.
I think they just their minds exploded when they saw that. I was like,
What's great about Christie is that when you get stuff from her cons, she writes rude shit in your books on top of that too. So
nice.
Yeah,
it's always what I look forward to.
Yeah, they're all personalized. I will personalize every book. I sign them, but I don't like always just sign it. I just actually write a bunch of shit, and I'm sorry, Marcus, I talked over here. So it's petty as fuck. That's how I actually sold.
You want to walk us through the campaign though, because Calderon's just flying through it.
Okay, well, yeah. So this is parts of the graphic novel. This is from the Demon Bitch webcomic. Now, what sets it apart is that I actually put stupid sketches in there. It's a signed book, and I personalize it. Like, if you want me to write it to your name, fine, or I'll just write lewd shit in there. But it's like also cartoons of like what stuff that I've gotten into. So nice fucking art. So this is the prints as well. That's available outside of the graphic novel, but it's also in the graphic novel, and they will be signed by the individual artists. So you have Real Deal. That's Lawrence Raw Dog Hubbard. He's got a pretty big following. He's published through Fantagraphics, and he always loves like GC, one of his characters, beating the shit out of Demon Bitch. And one person actually asked me, "Do you think it's violence against women?" I said, "No, she's a she demon. Nobody gives a fuck." And anyway, this is Zoralita. Now she's the official licensed artist for My Little Pony. She finished the card game that was out. And she just said to me, I didn't ask her to do it because she does kid stuff. Because sometimes like kid stuff and me at first was like kind of weird. But she says, I want to draw Demon Bitch. I said, well, this isn't, I want to draw Demon Bitch. So I let her draw Demon Bitch. So the next one is even like a good artist too. She's Mog Park. She's actually one of the official, she's the official illustrator of Game of Thrones. And everybody stopped. They're like, oh shit. So I asked her, hey, you want to draw a thing of Demon Bitch? And he said, sure. And this one's called There's a Sucker Born Every Minute. I'm like, why the fuck does this look like me in a way? But anyway, because I mean, like if I did my hair like that, it's like there. But yeah, it's called There's a Sucker. But yeah, these are all going to be printed on cotton archival paper. So you'll get, it's like 8 by 10, I think it's 8.5 by 11. And I have them signed by the artist, and I send them off to people and stuff. And they're all, and then somebody actually sent me a fan art of this. This is Philip Jin, but I thought it was funny because it was appropriately cringy, and it's her molesting him. It's like, it's this love. It's like, get off. He's like crying now, but inappropriate. He drew it, not me. So he'll sign that too. He's a great artist. I think he's doing a Kickstarter too. So once I get that going, I'll probably feature his Kickstarter as well. And then there's Kenny Aitken. He does Apex Cybernetic Owl. And he just drew her being stupid, like, yay, you know, because that just sells. And yeah. And then Chrissy, and yeah, that's like from Cybernetic Owl. And then Chrissy Bautista did this one where I didn't know it was from Pearl, but it's like such an attention whoring piece that she
What's
just
Pearl?
Pearl is like the prequel to X, you know, that horror movie where in the 70s they go to film a porno movie. And she's the old lady that wants to kill everybody because she's old and infirm and she can't fuck anymore or any of that stuff.
What the fuck kind of movie is this?
Pearl is like the prequel to that, where she's a young woman and it's like the Depression era. So she wants to be a movie star, but since she has brown hair, she's not considered, you know, Hollywood kind of thing, because Hollywood's really kind of new then, like the 20s and the 30s, the teens, you know, the silent movies.
Okay. So
it's like this horror movie of her going around fucking people and killing them and stuff like that because she hates where she lives. So, but she's going around, please, I'm a star, you know, and she cannot live the life that's free because she is repressed in the Midwest somewhere. So yeah, that's one of or it's like in the more rural areas of New York. I don't know exactly where it's at, but there you go. And then the last one is Connie Huang. That's Hyde Hermit Studios. And there's an original, that's the tier. And then there's the print of it. That's one of the tiers too. And it's just Demon Bitch fucking around with GMO stuff that no one should ever do. We can see how suggestive that fucking is. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. That's offered as a print. All of them are signed. So that's for the graphic novel. And I obviously threw a bunch of other stupid shit in there too. So this one called Fuck the Kids. This is Demon B meets Mr. F Word. We are totally taking a 180. We are not swearing or cursing or putting adult situations in this book. It is 110% kid safe. Why? I tested on some of my friends that were parents. Maybe that's not a good idea, but Stephen Prince has 2 small children, so I had him read it, and I think he read it to his kids. So what it's about is that Demon B meets Mr. F Word. This is downtown LA. I think that's accurate right there. So she's walking around where all the homeless people are screaming and cursing at her and trying to attack her. And then she meets Mr. F Word, who's crying his ass off, going like, I can't believe like nobody can say my name. He's really upset that no one can say his name. But as he goes on, he realizes why people can't say his name, because at first he thinks bad stuff happens, but then it makes him how important he is. Like the King of England can't say him. Neither can the president of the United States in public. No one can say him. He's like, wow, I really am special. So even though Demon Bitch doesn't do anything, it's like he finds out on his own journey and then realizes she's still a piece of shit anyway, even though they don't say bad words in there at all. But you can read this to your children, and they will love it. It's written especially for kids, and if your kid forces you to read it 10 million fucking times, you're not going to get bored. And then I had Stephen Prince like do the foreword because A, he has kids, and secondly, he looks like tortured anyway because he looks like the dog with the "this is fine," you know, we're trapped in a burning room. That's actually of him happier, but if you see him regularly, he's just going. But he looks like that dog, like this is fine. See, that's how he looks like. And then this is the pin. I am Shipbird. So there's always a story behind things that I do. So with I Am Shipbird, what it was is that, you know, I have said in the trailer that inevitably, oh, thank you, Michael. You'll get your rude thing in a minute. So what it is that there's been a couple of people I've mentioned that come up to me and get pissed at me that they think I drew them. And like, I didn't fucking draw you. I don't even know you, right? So one person gets it in their head that they think I must be following them everywhere because Shipbird's wearing a white bathrobe and this person does. Like really dumb shit. So finally, this person starts trying to call me out saying, I am Shipbird. I am Shipbird. I am Shipbird. My friends start dying. They're going like, so she's a fucking piece of shit? Is that what she wants to admit to? Because Shipbird's character is like, she thinks she's a beautiful tropical bird that's green, but really in reality, she's a silly goose. So I said, fine, fuck it. We're going to do like a Coca-Cola type of saying in the 70s when they did, if I could give the world a Coke today, and just do a flash mob of it with all the fucking pins on her chest. Just I am Shipbird. Just walk around like that. Because flash mobs are great. And then this is Cofic 19. That's one of the add-ons. It's already been funded, but it's like one of the pins you can get because I was trapped in my computer and everybody else was being an asshole. So I decided to make Cofic 19. Never trust a big button to smile. This girl is poison.
It's a great song. It's a classic. It's a classic song.
But you can,
Also, it's like if Oscar the Grouch had like a really sexy comic.
Well, you know, hey, there's
like,
there was a joke. They were saying like, oh, they have its first homeless Muppet, and it's like, Oscar the Grouch has been like living in his fucking trash can for over 50 years.
Yeah,
like, he's like a wino fucking Muppet. Nobody admitted to it. So there's Cofic 19. So this is Blender Fuck, also based off a real life situation. So I think the fan art that Don Wynn originally drew, this is not it, of her humping a blender, is I think Alcoholics and Anonymous sees or whatever. So this is what happened. So I'm trying to run through this. I know it's a lot. So what it was is that this one girl who also thought it was about her texted me and said, you should go get fucked by a blender. And I'm like, oh, my self-esteem. What am I going to do? So I promptly sent it over to Don, and Don drew it because I asked him to do fan art. So we were all laughing. So I decided to do Blender Fuck and make it into a magnet. It's a sticker and a patch too, but you can put her around something, make her look like she's humping it because she's an idiot. And then just put some of the production. There's bonus stuff. Like I try to share with my friends, Turner Family Terrors. You can take a look at Rob Krisich's stuff. And also we're doing a print together. So if you back our stuff and hit my stuff and his stuff, you get a print. So if you do both of our physical tiers, then you will get a signed print from both of us. You know, we both sign it. But if you get digital on both of our ends, you get the digital print. So, and that's Sophie, the vampire queen, fighting Demon Bitch, and there's Shipper going 4 because it's number 4. But they're on top of the mountaintop. And then there's other things like I've actually added to the free read Turner Family Terrors one, and I've also added Daphne's too, because she actually was a good girl and got her homework on time to me. But she's part of the free reading pack too. And also I put links to the Kickstarter. So far, the books that I have are kind of not safe for kids, so just keep that in mind. But then I do Demon Bitch, so people assume that. And then I have a couple stretch goals. When we start getting close to $6,000, then I will release them. But it'll be probably different iterations of the Patch and Pin. And that's it. But I've always delivered, and it's been always good.
All right, cool. Looks great.
Thank
you know, hilarious as always.
Yeah.
You know, all right. Nice.
I'll tell you what I learned is that I think I want Christie to be my best friend. That's what I learned. I want messages. I backed the book during while we were going through this, and I already got my message back. It's amazing, and I just want to get messages like this all the time. That's what I want. I want text messages like this. It's great.
Christie seems to attract masochists. I'll say that.
I think in this one that I would douse her with lighter fluid and set her on fire because gasoline's too expensive here because I live in California. I want to hit that.
Yeah, that's $6. I can't afford that. No.
All right, so I guess from here we're going from. Listen, I mean, there always has to be the opposites, right? There has to be your demon bitches, and we sometimes have to have our princesses, right?
That's right.
So here we go, Mr. Marcus. What do we got here?
Oh man!
Ooh, look at them numbers go up, baby. Yes.
Yeah.
Woo!
So we are back with Nobody's Princess number 3. For those that don't know, Nobody's Princess is the comic that started all for Odyssey Comics. It was our very first comic that we launched 2 years ago. Now the team is back with number 3, and the story kicks it up a notch as Princess goes from would-be royal to vigilante and starts taking the fight to the kingdom, looking not just to avoid being wed off to some schmuck prince that she's never met, but actually change the fate of the kingdom with her and her friends. This is the lovely continuing story from my good friend Aaron Keepers. Katrina Laird is on the art. Yane is doing the colors, and then some idiot named Marcus doing the letters and working on story editing.
That poor guy, Marcus.
Yeah.
He's so put upon.
So I think the really great thing about this is it becomes pretty obvious as we reveal it. The third cover that we are doing a wrap cover for all 4. So this is 3 of 4. We combine them all together, building one image. So we're really looking forward to doing number 4 because we'll be able to make like a stretch poster of everything combined. We're doing some of the preview pages. I'm going to be uploading more tonight too, as we're still working through the book, getting more previews uploaded, but trying my best not to get too spoilery with anything that we put on.
Cool. Now, how many? So far, you're up to issue 3. How many issues is the arc?
It's going to be 4 to complete the main series. So the next one we do will be final, cap it all off.
Gotcha. Very nice. So I mean, So these particular creators, where did you meet them? How did you get them to you?
Erin, I met years and years back when I was running a pop culture site, and she was running my writers. And actually, she's kind of responsible for me getting into this whole fucking fiasco of an industry. She's doing comic projects. She had her comic Nasty Girls at the time that she was working on. And I'm like, you know, at that point in time, I was doing a lot of marketing stuff with different publishers, everything like that, until I finally got tired. I'm like, man, I can't be sitting here just talking about comics anymore. I've been wanting to make comics my whole life. It's time to get into it. And Erin dragged me into all this and got me in touch with all the people to, you know, kind of learn the ins and outs of the industries. And she pitched Odyssey, the first comic. So once I read through it, and she and I worked on a script with each other for, you know, back and forth for a few months and really got it down. Then we decided to go ahead and go forward with it and make it the first book that we were going to do. Then Katrina was her collaborator before on Nasty Girls. So this is kind of like the spiritual successor to it almost. There we also see the variant cover from Helen Robinson, who's another great talent who's been working with Aaron. She did the poster for us on the original campaign and came back and did this awesome variant cover for us too.
Very nice.
Now here we're doing our best to offer, in these tough times, just a really great value on the campaign. So we're using the strength of our back catalog to really pass the savings on to the backers. So we start at just $2 for digital tier. So for those digital backers who support the first Nobody's Princess and want to continue to keep reading, they get that for just $2. $5 for newbies gets you all 3 digital comics. And then $10 gets you the follow-up comic, and that's shipped. I think with the exception of the last 2 bundles, every single tier that you support gets free domestic shipping in the U.S.
Cool.
No additional cost.
I hope you built that into your charge per unit, bud.
Come on, man. I'm new to this, but not that.
It took you a second to even answer it, dude. I was getting scared.
I made sure we hit that price point in the course. I got a nice corporate deal when it comes to shipping, so I can pass that savings on through.
Marcus, tell him this is what, your 10th campaign, 12th campaign?
9th campaign, yes. So
9th campaign.
It's right on your screen. What are you not reading?
Oh,
dude, it's not on my screen.
What a
Oh, yeah, it is
level.
on my screen, yeah.
So since we passed the 50 backer mark, we unlocked our first stretch award. Here I try to do things a little bit differently because, again, I didn't want to make this a tough prospect for a lot of people. I know things are tight for people. The economy is not doing the best. So rather than lock a bunch of awards behind different tiers, we're doing stretch rewards. And no matter if you back for the $10 or the $40, everybody gets in on your rewards. So we unlocked the digital of our Comic Planet Pumpkin. That's going to be premiering next month, likely on Indiegogo. That one's been coming. So it's a good thing for people who, are going to be interested in that book. They'll have it by backing this campaign. It's added in for free, and they won't have to go to the Indiegogo to get it too, unless they want the physical, which is the hopes there. At 75 backers, we'll unlock a pin 2-pack, and then 100 backers will unlock the sticker pack set. And then we also are going to have a secret 150 backer one that we'll release when we get to next week. And then since we had some great stuff from the previous campaign, I brought those back so that people have missed out. They don't feel like they have to get left behind. They can add in on some of our extras that we had from the previous campaign, or add-ons for this campaign too.
Cool.
Then we get to the big wazoo of add-ons. So with this comic in this month, this is officially Odyssey's 2nd anniversary, 2 years in publishing. So nice. For the first time, thank you. Hopefully get at least one more. But we opened up our entire catalog for add-ons to this campaign. So for all the books that people want to try out, they can add them on all to their order, and they can even bundle them all together. We got a bundle where they can get everything, all of the Nobody's Princesses, all the other books, everything Odyssey Comics is published in one nice, awesome box too.
Nice.
Now we're past the exclusive period with our holofoil variant. That was, since it was kind of weird to structure an early bird around something that you've already done so many of, I decided to do a giveaway. So we're doing 20 total of these holofoil variants that we made available as a giveaway for all the physical backers within the first 48 hours. So we went ahead and pulled those names and announced everything yesterday. Nice. For all those backers who will get the holofoil variant 100% for free, included with their pledge.
Cool.
Which actually kind of turned out fortuitous because a lot of the physical backers, I think there's maybe 26 of them in total. So your odds of getting one of those for free was pretty good. It was pretty high. And then we'll be having a new add-on we'll be announcing this week too. That's also going to be coming. Trying to roll something out a little bit every week so we, keep the campaign fresh and try to add more as we're progressing and doing better too.
Cool. Very nice. I mean, you running. I didn't even look. So you got another 19 days ago.
There you go.
Yep. Just
So
got
you're in
a
the
little
valley
bit
right
over.
now.
Yeah,
Right.
got a little bit over third funding. This is going to be one of our shorter campaigns too. We just launched back on Wednesday, so we don't even have a full week under our belt yet.
Oh, you're going into the valley now.
Yeah, we're going to be deep in that valley. But my hope is that through going ahead and thankfully we got Project We Love badge that is helping us out with visibility and everything like that. And Kickstarter's featuring us on the projects page for comics. We start trickling a little bit more in. Hopefully those Facebook ads are doing their thing too and drawing some more people to the campaign. Yeah, man, it really just, again, offering really good value in this one. And I hope that that'll help people. So even if they're not able to go into the big tiers and everything like that, we're more than happy to run those $2 digitals till I'm blue in the face. I will take them because I love them come fulfillment time. Like, digital backers.
Yeah. Digital backers, man.
All you gotta do is give them the links. Here, have fun.
Yeah, you get 90% of all digital sales, baby.
Yes.
That's it.
Oh,
All right. Okay.
Here's my pure evil bitch.
Hey now.
All right, going from pure evil bitch to I'm sorry, Jerry. I tried, but I don't
he's heard two good ones already.
Yeah,
I was like, I thought you might be going to Larry's project. I think I was going to Larry's project next because I had no idea.
Kicked it up a notch there, Jerry.
Damn. That was cool.
Very good, man.
Thanks. So Cicada Samurai. It's he's a cicada, so he's like this big. As I keep telling people, because he looks a little bit like the Green Power Ranger. So I keep on getting people keep saying that online, which is kind of a cool, association. But
I can't tell if that's armor or if that's a cicada.
It's both. So if you look really closely, you can see his kind of humanoid face underneath the helmet. Yeah. So it's the armor. If you've ever seen a cicada, they're big, bulky looking, dumb flies. And the armor is what makes them look like that. Underneath it all, they're kind of humanoid. So these are some interior pages, but it's basically a story about one cicada who's immortal. He's been alive for 6 generations. So 6 times other cicadas have grown to be 17 years old. They emerge, they make a racket, they mate, they die. His job is to protect enough of them so that they can, continue to have the species exist. And so it's a full color book, but right now I have these pencils and inks to share these digital sort of layouts and sketches. And so I have 3 kids. My oldest one is 12. He starts spending more and more time with his friends, like outside of where I can keep him safe. So I wrote this story that's sort of like one adult. He's the only person with any life experience, and his job is to try and keep 1 million 17-year-olds safe all at one time. And he's gonna fail, and it's gonna be really fucking hard for him. And you can see in the pages that are there, like we're seeing one of these kids get torn apart by a raven. But this is my story.
It looks good. How many pages you got on this?
It's short, so it's only 10 pages. It was originally 8. I hit my funding goal pretty quickly before I could scramble and put together stretch goals. So what I did instead is I just took everything I was going to add as stretch goals and kind of put it all in the book now. So I expanded it to 10 pages. I am going to include, I'm doing an Instagram competition right now for up and coming artists, that anyone who can draw the character, tag me, I'm going to pick my 5 or 6 favorites, put them in the book as pinups, pay the artists, people, nice. Up and coming people get a chance to get published. And I'm going to include like another 8 or 10 pages of just kind of behind the scenes stuff, the script, pencils, inks, things like that. But the original character design was Takashi Okazaki, who created Afro Samurai. Speaking of manga and anime, he was just kind of into it. I hit him up on Instagram and I got lucky. He just was like, cool, yeah, how about this? And he started pitching me story ideas. So I just got very lucky there. The other 2 covers, the one right above that is Walt Flanagan, who is one of the guys from Comic Book Men. He did when Kevin Smith wrote comics back in the day. He was his artist. He's the Tell Him Steve Dave podcast. He's just a great guy, and he did this like super bloody. He's very into like very violent and like Universal monsters and stuff. So he has a very different kind of older, violent man, grizzled samurai take on the character in that like pool of blood, which I love.
Like Jimbo, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It's super like gritty. And then most of all the interior art and the other two covers above that one are Mary Landro, who is also a Kickstarter, comic book creator. Very influenced, obviously, by anime.
Yeah, man,
that's my guy. And so he, cicadas like pop out every 17 years. They make a holy racket, but they're just like defenseless. And I started reading about them. When Europeans first got here, they thought they were locusts. They thought that they had these big red eyes because they were staring into the fires of hell. It's like a superstitious bunch of people. So that was kind of where I started. Like, I started to feel like, what if some of those things were real? And then I put my own, being a neurotic parent on top of it. And that's how I landed on what I'm on.
So is your character immortal, like in cicada years, or so he's like this immortal guardian of cicadas where he has to deal with 17-year-old little assholes all the time?
Yes.
Oh.
And it's very much his narration in the story is very much like a sarcastic parent kind of dealing with these assholes. Like one of the first things he says is, there are monsters in the world and you don't want to scare the shit out of your kids, but you do have to warn them. Not that it matters, because even when you do warn them, they don't fucking listen, And then you see two cicadas. This is what the story is about, is that it's a few weeks before the millions of them will emerge. And two of them decided it's not dangerous. I'm going to go up. I'm just going to go check it out. We're gonna go exploring. We're gonna go out at night when we're not supposed to. It's exactly what teenagers do.
Right.
And immediately one of them gets ripped in half by a raven. Like birds, foxes, all these animals eat thousands of these cicadas when they emerge. It's like a feast for all these animals. And so one of them immediately just gets torn apart. And he springs into action. It's the first time he's picked up his sword in 17 years, and he has to go up and try and save the other one. But
so do they look kind of human, like sort of anthropomorphized, like how the cicada samurai is?
Yeah, I mean they're basically like they're humanoid, but when he puts on all the armor, he looks like a cicada.
Oh, okay. But I mean, like the other cicadas, are they the same way? Oh,
yeah, they'll have different armor that's less ornate. They'll have different like an outfit to go to the party. It's kind of like they're going to prom. They have like 2 weeks above ground. They get to live above ground just long enough to mate and drop dead. And so they'll have kind of like formal wear, and it will look reminiscent of a cicada, but only his is like the bulky armor.
You got to have those scenes in there too, for the expanded volumes.
Oh,
well, I always joke that I called my company Thorny Comics for I can use a rose. My daughter's middle name is Rose. But if I ever do have to pivot and just put boobs on the cover of my next book, I'm right there. I'm Horny Comics is just a letter away. Like one little slash and I'm there.
Well, JD's wife Daphne draws that shit, so you could probably ask her.
I mean, let's do it.
Yeah.
Listen, studios do G and R movies, so it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, I mean, listen, man, it looks awesome. I mean, you've already funded. You're well on your way. You got another 12 days. I think you're doing well, and you're gonna continue to do well.
Thank you.
He kind of makes me think of the Green Ranger, so I think that's why people will like it. It looks like one of the Ranger shit, the Sentai stuff.
Yeah, the other one was the Beetleborgs. There's a green Beetleborg character, which is sort of in that same universe, but it looks a lot like that too.
Yeah, I love the Takashi.
Takashi.
Yeah, this guy. Yeah, that thing looks awesome.
Yeah, that was so he's great, and he's super busy, and he just was into this, and he sent me some pencil sketches, and then like 4 months later, this arrived in my email, kind of out of nowhere. I hadn't heard from him in a while, and I was like, well, that was nice. I guess I'm not going to hear from him again. And then I woke up one morning, and this was in my email, and I was like, shit, now I have to make the book.
Yeah, like in Asia, it makes sense because like in Korea and Japan, there's like fuck tons of those things. Because I went to Korea during the summer. The air is it's like It's not a quiet thing. It's those fuckers just want to get out and just pump. I swear to God.
Yes.
Can't say I blame them.
No, I mean, wouldn't it be better if that's all any of us had to worry about?
Yeah.
You know, if we were all just around for 3 or 4 weeks and all we had to do was hump and die, that'd be great. It'd be a great life.
I mean, they kind of don't do much else. They kind of don't do much else. They just lie there like,
Yeah.
And they need that hard shell, or else they throw their back out with all the humping they're doing. You know, I mean,
they got this weird.
It's really like that weightlifting belt, right? It's just back support. That's all it really is. Very elaborate back support.
Thank you for doubling down on my shitty joke. I appreciate it.
You got it. Sometimes you got to keep, you got to power through it.
Oh,
it's funny on the other end, you got to go all the way to the other end of it.
Well, it actually kind of ties into that sort of Jason David Frank nostalgia too, because he was the Green Ranger before he was the White Ranger. I'm not trying to bring anybody down, but I've noticed anything about that guy. Like they're like, oh, we want to have anything.
Yeah,
It's good.
I remember doing the Puerto Rico Comic Con, and he was the guest of honor there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, you would have thought Stanley was at the show.
Right.
I mean, that's the type of adoration he got. But you don't know what it's like when you go home. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things we got to worry about, guys and gals, is that black hole that we go through sometimes as creators. Our head is so involved in the creation process that sometimes we need to lift it up and see what else is going on out there. Because if not, you're just going to get stuck and keep burying yourself out there.
Sometimes you end up on a beach with your face in the sand.
Yep.
All right. So
you've been talking to some of the people that know me. Who do you know?
Actually, I sent you another link, JD. Something a little better.
Oh, okay. Hold on. So let me
I mean, that's my eBay store. Go check it out. But
yeah.
I actually, we'll see if this works. I sent you a preview link to the Kickstarter.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, nice.
Now this, if it pulls up, it's half built. It's under construction. But we're getting there.
Yes. Okay. Cool. Give me a second. Let me try not to screw this up.
Oh, I'm sure we'll be fine.
How's the eBay store work out for you, by the way, Larry?
I'm sorry, what now?
I said, how's the eBay store work out
It's
for you?
hit or miss, man. Sometimes I get like 2 or 3 sales, boom, 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 and then next thing you know, it's like 2 months and nothing. Yeah. So this is Niobe Penguina, the crossover comic book I'm doing with the blessing of one Mr. Ben Dunn from Antarctic Press.
Nice.
So we, think of like old school Image crossovers, like, you know what I mean? Like Witchblade with Wolverine or, Evangeline with Warrior Nun. That sort of same vibe. And as I said, this is still like, very much a work in progress here.
So how many? It's a one shot, obviously, right?
It's a 2-part miniseries.
2-part. Okay, nice. Okay,
yeah, it was going to be a one shot, but the story, was getting longer as I was writing it, and it's converted into 2 parts now.
Gotcha.
That's done by the interior artist. That's Eduardo Garcia, known for his work with Zenoscope Comics.
Very nice.
Yeah. Jen Leonard.
Cool.
Mr. Ben Dunn himself, of course, bringing his anime manga style over. Most of these were colored by Dan O'Vera, by the way.
Nice.
Narciso Souza, who's got that sort of J. Scott Campbell style rocking.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then from the artists of Evangeline, Lady Pendragon, and Team Youngblood, this is from Mr. John Stinsman. Now, we actually got new pages in, so these are going to be replaced with better sort of action shots and stuff that we got going on. But this is what I was using at the time. But this is all the some of the interior artwork.
Still, man, even under construction, you got more than a lot of people even put up on their finished canvas.
True.
Well, I just got to label it better, organize it better. I've been been around for 10 years, so we got lots of add-ons and combo packs that we're going to do and things of that nature. And they're not all listed there yet. That's just sort of part of the work in progress. Got to figure out all the pricing and how much of what do I actually got left, and
At least it's better. Like, I made this comic, go buy it, and you're like, Is there anything else?
Right.
Starters like that. It's just like,
Well, listen, the add-on feature is the best thing that Kickstarter could ever done. Like,
Yep.
now like
Yeah,
32% of our funds raised come from work that's already been done, bought, and paid for. It's fantastic.
yeah. Yeah, like they can buy your old shit. They're like, oh, I can buy this now. Even though it's been at your store, you can just say, hey, you can get this. And then they go, oh, that's so shiny. And then they go for
That's
it.
it, man. There's always someone new coming in that wants to start from the start. You make that available to them, that sort of stuff, right?
I find that sometimes people go to my website and pick stuff straight up as opposed to utilizing the add-ons in the campaign. So it kind of costs me funding, but gets me the sales that I need,
Mm-hmm. And then like our other IP, someone missed out, you can get Savage Sin 1 on this campaign, right? And that's done by the same team doing this book. So that's El Dorado there. And that's another John Stinsman piece right there. That's epic.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then there's just some notes on the creative team and, shipping and yada, yada, and surveys and who we print with. But that's actually, by the time you see this again, that's going to be expanded quite a bit. There's going to be more stuff on there. We're going to have all our stretch goals listed. We don't have the stretch goals up on there yet, but there'll be a whole ton of, freebies to claim as this thing sort of rolls out. I'm looking at rolling this out hopefully sometime next week.
Nice.
So when I get my new shipment of books in for Outbreak 2, I'll be fulfilling that while I'm going to campaign this.
Gotcha. Nice. And you're going to run this for what? Oh, okay, 25 days. Okay.
Yeah, I took out a few days because I noticed that, and maybe it's a good question for you guys, maybe this show or a future show, but there's always that Kickstarter slump, like you're like a week or two in, and then like all of a sudden you're losing backers and no one's touching the campaign, and it's like a graveyard. And then as you get into the last week or last few days, everything starts to pick up again, right? So I figured, hey, let's take out a few days and see if that actually makes a difference in anything.
No, I got you. I mean, I know Tom is at 21 days at the moment?
Yeah,
he's
Tom's
doing
been doing
3
way
week
shorter.
I didn't even know if I want to go that short. I'm like, I didn't even know if I want to go because I'm such a traditionalist about the 30-day campaign. But in my last campaign, I noticed running it that long, I think hurt us more in the long run than it did help us,
Yeah, you can see that. I think in terms of overall percentage funding, my most successful Kickstarter was the shortest. We did 25 days and hit 200% funding within that day. Yeah, so before that we were having a lot of drop backers. It was going up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah, plays with your emotions, right?
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, I don't want to do this again. So I haven't seen 25 days be any hindrance. It only seems to help, and actually, it seems like Kickstarter likes promoting.
Well, this would be my first time trying it. All my other campaigns were 30 days. Even our most successful one was 30 days. But we'll see what happens here.
I go 45, but I think it just gives me time to relax, I think. But that's just more for me than anything else. I haven't noticed anything really different in that. It kind of just gives me just time to relax and kind of just go with the flow of it.
Yeah. I don't think there's a right or wrong sort of thing when it comes to how you raise funds for your project. Right. In our case, we're looking to get these out a little faster, right? So we can shave off a week here and there. Maybe that helps.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, right? This will be my first time trying a quote unquote sort of shorter campaign.
I mean, if you got the backers for it and you got the scheduling for it, like for me, it's just because I just do a lot of shit and background and just travel and stuff. It's just, I like to kind of relax and not have one more thing on my mind.
Yeah. I'm really excited about this. This is the first time like we meet, I get to cross over with like one of my heroes, Ben Dunn, Ninja High School, around forever.
Oh yeah.
I'm saying, right?
I remember.
And then in turn, since I get to borrow his character, he's also doing a project where he's going to use Niobe, right? And I don't get really much of a say in it. He's going to do whatever he wants with her, just like I got sort of carte blanche to do whatever I wanted with Penguina,
Mm-hmm.
And he'll crowdfund his, I'll crowdfund mine. And then the idea is that once that's done, we will publish these, and they'll be on comic book shelves through Antarctic Press.
Nice.
Very cool.
Nice.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I mean, listen, it's gonna be awesome. So, what type of time frame are you looking for between the two issues? Like 6 months, that sort of thing?
Well, I hope it's no longer than that. I got 2 books to do in between that. I got to do Niobe Outbreak 3, and then I got to do Savage Sin 2, and then comes this project I really wasn't counting on doing but sort of sprang up, and that's how it goes sometimes,
Oh yeah. I'll just flash this up real quick. This is just my sign-up page. So this is my next campaign. I'll be hopefully fulfilling next week when I get the books in from the printer. And then it'll probably be another week, and then I'll be launching again. And this is going to be a 14-day campaign. So it's a short one.
Are you worried about that? That would make me nervous, bro.
No, I mean, because 14 days. No, you gotta experiment. Look,
I'm tightening up right now.
Right?
I'm trying to do this one and get one more in before the end of the year.
Go back. What's your goal on that?
There's no goal. That's just the sign-up page. The goal on this was for the Oswald ones. I keep them low. They're like $500, so it's not like
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not.
That's different.
Yeah. I'm not trying to raise like a big amount.
Plus, I was talking about this in the Twitter space last week too. As indie creators, we should not be afraid to take an L occasionally here and there to try something new. If
and that's
something
going to
is
happen.
Yeah,
that's going to happen, and maybe happen often. I took an L with Niobe #2. We ended up canceling the campaign, and I thought, "Fuck, man, I'm going to be out of comics forever,"
Mm-hmm.
And then I got my head on straight a couple of months later, and then went back and we got it done. But yeah, sometimes you're going to take that L, man. You got to get up, dust yourself off, and keep moving.
Yeah, I took an L going into the summer. I had to cancel a campaign too, based on a couple of family tragedies, and it's catching up to me right now. But for me, I'm not looking at the L so much as the financial impact hurting, as much as the loss of time hurting.
Getting old, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I mean, I don't know about most of you folks. I'm close to retirement on the day job, right? I'm about 5 years away from that, and I hated it every day. I am not going to say I didn't. Yesterday's me though protected the me coming tomorrow, because once I go into once I take that retirement package, I can focus 100% of my time on comic books, knowing I still got that security of
I don't know. I think you should keep the day job.
You
Larry, you're up, brother. You're up. You got a question for us?
All right. I mean, I wasn't prepared to ask one, but I talked about like a dead period in Kickstarter, but a lot of things, speaking of Twitter Spaces and stuff, I too was listening to one, and they were talking about and this is a great, sort of topic for some guys who don't do the sort of book that maybe I do, where we use a sexy female. Do you guys think the complaint is that Kickstarter is being oversaturated with sort of the TNA covers and the not safe for work covers? And there are those who say that the reason why they're not doing well on Kickstarter is because they cannot compete with the sort of sex sells motif.
My thing is that I haven't noticed much of a difference, to be honest. I mean, I don't sell TNA stuff. I mean, I don't have an objection against it, but sex always sells. You draw a pair of tits on it, yeah, it'll sell, but it's kind of like to say that, it's an oversaturation of boob things. I mean, I haven't really noticed much of a difference. The only thing that actually affects my work is like the timing, the economy, and how you ask and how you prepare. Like I barely see any tit shit anywhere, like unless if people bring it up. But even then, people start bitching, and I'm just like, I just think kind of 90% of it, at least from my experience, is marketing personally. And is your book actually good?
I mean, I don't know if it's the same group of people. They're buying like boob covers and like looking to buy a book with a story that has like a lot of pages of cool art and a great story. It's going to come back for more and wants to engage with the creator. I think it's a totally different group of people. So I don't know if people are. There are certainly more overall. There are a ton more people on Kickstarter selling comics generally. So there's more competition generally speaking.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's because there are so many like topless women on books. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's competition, and you got to stand out. Yeah.
I think you're right on the. I think you. Oh, go ahead, Jay.
No, I had topless women on my last campaign, and I noticed when we revealed it, some of the regular backers backed out.
Right.
Mhm.
You know, and I was like, oh shit.
It's a different group. It's
So
just a
right,
different
it's a
group of
different group. So the swap didn't swing my way.
Right.
You know, so I'm like, okay, you know, we won't do it again. But at least I can say, yeah, I dipped my toes into the water. I try to work through it, and it's not something we're going to do again.
I will say I don't know. There aren't statistics out about this, so I don't know how to like really talk about it. But I could see a world where, you know, Kickstarter takes a small cut, right, of whatever you raise. If they think that, if their algorithm says, you know, the campaign that has the Sakari cover with the 15 variants of the different instruments that they're wearing, you know, on the cover, if they know that that's going to hit like $50,000 because of that cover, they might push that more because they're going to.
It already does. 100%
Exactly.
does.
So I could see that where like the Project We Love badge might be less.
Do you know how
helpful,
much it is to commission
you know?
that guy? It is $5,000 a cover.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's pretty expensive.
And that's nothing compared to what, like, if you look at how much money his campaigns make.
Yeah.
People, they make his cover available just for the first weekend, and those campaigns will break $30,000 in a weekend.
Yeah.
Did he do that She-Ra cover that came out recently?
You did.
Yeah, I think he did. If
Right?
you're talking about the silverish kind of one where she's like,
and
she's
listen,
like this or
her
something.
hands are spread out.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
she's chained behind her. Man,
Yeah, that
It might have
I
actually
know,
been an older one.
I know it's process, but if, you know, people who don't know his process would be like, oh my God, that's AI art.
But he's the
But
first
not.
person to speak out against AI art. Anytime like I
Yeah,
posted
man.
like a little AI art on my profile, he's like, you know that's AI art, right, dude? I'm like, yeah, dude, it's fine.
No, but
It's
he's not.
okay.
But it's like, holy shit.
Well, like
You
as
know?
an artist, like I started off as an artist first. Like I could see why sometimes people say that. Now, first of all, I'm not saying it is, okay? But what I've noticed with AI art, it takes from the most common denominator of a certain search string. So there's a lot of Asian concept art and all that, which it derives from.
Yeah.
So to a point, I understand, but his art does not look really like AI art. You know, it's like more of there. Yes, it's a digital painting, but I can't really explain certain differences, but as an artist, like you can kind of tell.
Okay.
You can see it.
It's not just like I can easily explain it, but it's like there's a certain look to it, and also depending on the search parameters and string, like did they take from Chinese concept artists, Korean concept artists, Japanese, Indonesian, and what combination? But at the same time, it has a certain look, and it could be confused that way. But if you're an artist yourself, you could kind of tell if it's original or not. And I'm not saying no one else can. Just for me, it's like since I'm an artist first, I could kind of tell like the difference. Like AI art has a very specific look to it.
Yeah.
Than like Shikari's artwork. It's like I would say AI art is like over manufactured in my opinion.
Well, you know what? I can't tell the difference. I'm sorry. I wish I was as trained as you, but unless it has the 6+ fingers, I don't know if it's AI art or not.
I mean,
but
yeah.
sorry. I was just gonna say,
go on.
to double back on the topic of the not safe for content. I don't think it's any surprise to anybody that we are in a tough period for crowdfunding. We're in a tough period for economy. We've seen probably like a couple whole high profile like Kickstarters fail and thing recently. More people are failing than we were used to seeing probably during the COVID periods where we just saw this boom of everything. And there's a contrition happening for sure. And I think what happens is that when people start to come up against that, they start looking at things to blame. And they start looking at other avenues to say like, oh, well, you know, I'm not doing as well as I did before because of this thing or because of that thing. And while there may be certain truths to the reality of what Kickstarter promotes and everything like that, at the end of the day, the onus is on the individual to make sure that they're doing the best they possibly can. From a couple of the Kickstarters I've seen, some that have failed recently, they look like really solid projects, really well put together. There's been a couple of glaring things here and there as to why, like maybe their funding goal was a little bit too high. Maybe, you know, the interior art wasn't showing enough. Maybe it wasn't up to snuff. And you know, I look at those things too. It's like with Nobody's Princess, I was hoping to be maybe 50% there. And I'm like, okay, what did I do here? Am I turning all the dials that I possibly can to make sure that it's staying on track and doing to where I used to be? Do I feel like I did a good enough job with the campaign and doing things? If you can answer yes to all those, you have to live with the results, but typically they'll kind of go into your favor if you stay the course. And if it doesn't, then that becomes another thing. But you can't, look at other people's bowl and wonder if it's a little bit fuller than yours is, if they're the ones taking it from you. Jerry, you were right on the money. I think it really comes down to people's audience. Nobody who's back in Nobody's Princess is going to be interested in, not safe for work content. We're not going to be throwing covers or anything like that, because that's not who's coming to support that project and who's coming to back. So the people who are doing that they have the audience to where they're generating that. Everybody else has to sort of find their own lane from there. And you'd love to hit it, but
sorry,
it is what it is. No problem, Christie.
Well, it's like this ratio also of like, do you know how much your audience will throw down compared to like the amount of money you're asking plus the amount of time you can make it in? Now, if you're like Pat Shannon and can make a fucking million in about 30 days, I think your audience is pretty solid, but he knows his audience. He's built it.
Yeah.
And it's like also the oversaturation. Like, let's say with Jerry, for example, I mean, he's doing really good with his career, with his Kickstarter, but it's like this. Okay, well, what if he did like a fucking Sentai comic? Because it is a Sentai-esque kind of comic, even though it's an anthropomorphic cicada. It's like, what if there was an oversaturation of Sentai comics? Like, what's going to stand out? But I haven't really seen that many Sentai comics, so I think he's actually pretty safe. It's kind of like, as I said, I suggested to him to go meet Kenny Aitken of Cyber Apex Cyber Samurai Owl, Cyber Ninja Owl, sorry. And, because I think their genres are kind of similar, even though it's ninja versus samurai, it's like in that same kind of thing. And what's good is that if you can find other people that are in similar genres to cross promote with you, that's really good. Like, with me, I just find all the demonic shit, and there you go. Well, there you go. But as I said, but it's like building that community and all that. Like, you can't throw down for money. I know times are tough, but it's like, hey, like I'm dropping this PDF, like free for everybody that pledges of this person. Go check out this Kickstarter, and they do the same thing for you. It's at least pollinating your audiences together. So as I said, it's like you try to find the right genre that you can partner in, but you don't want to have too much of the same thing. And maybe the TNA stuff could possibly be like, too much of the same thing, but it depends. Like, Brian Polito could do probably, I think he has, but TNA covers of Lady Death and all that.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
That would fit.
You mentioned Pat Shan too. I think that's a perfect person to look at, because he had a lot of books that he did pretty well with before he did Cheeky. And then Cheeky just exploded. And, it's the whole story about a girl with a butt so great that she can't find someone who can satisfy her sexually because everyone like pops off too soon. Like, that's the story, and it like, talk about just like a sexy book, right? But it made a ton of money. And what he did was, because the audiences aren't the same people, he split off. So he's got Cheeky Comics now that does all of his more TNA stuff. And he's got a separate imprint for everything else, for his other books that are more family safe, or just, a good story with more traditional artwork and stuff. So, I think his success in both of those realms is exactly what I think we're all saying, is that it's a different group of people. It's just
right. And he 100% understands that too. I got the chance to, talk to him about things during Baltimore. We got to hang out quite a bit while I was in town. And it's, we had that discussion as we were all hanging out and having drinks and everything. And it's a little bit different for everybody. And when he came across that and saw the audiences, he was able to do that and have a different audience than what usually comes to a space between projects, and are supporting those and having Cheeky. And even we'll be doing the same thing as, we splinter off, because, we saw that people respond to a certain type of book from Odyssey. I want to do more things and also create more opportunities for more creators and get different ideas out there. So what was our Critical Mass magazine will also be spent off into its own print for Critical Mass, the overall publishing, so that we could do, more sci-fi thing, but things that are going to be, more mature, things that are kind of going to be, I guess, more risky too, because we're not going for that same sort of, I guess, polish that everything with Odyssey typically has to it. We're going to sort of push the boundaries of what we're doing with art and things like that. And get messy here and there if that what it takes to sort of do it. But it's going to be more of a guerrilla style to publishing than what we're typically doing with Odyssey, and probably like a little bit more fun too, because we're just going to be throwing some batshit crazy stuff out there, just seeing how people respond to it. But that becomes very important as you do more things, is to build that verisimilitude in what you're bringing to the table, and just seeing where everybody goes from there.
Nice.
Jay?
Michael asked a question too, and I wanted to get to it also, since how you're going to be wrapping it up soon. Should a creator do black and white or color to be successful? Doing a crime book, so I'm not sure if I should do color or black and white. I know you do a lot of black and whites, Calderon, but I want to put this out there and say, if you can afford color, do color.
Yeah.
Right? If it's not going to break your budget, do it. If you can't afford color, then save color for the collected trade. Build up. I see you don't do that. I do. I got no problem with that.
Well, I'm just telling you. I'm going to tell you right now, you're doing it wrong.
Really?
Oh, finish your statement, sir. and I will tell you.
Oh, I want to interject on this one too, man.
I didn't say your barber did your haircut wrong, but that's me. That's my personal preference here. Okay, all right. No, look, if you can do color, if you can afford it, do it. If not, yes, I would do color in the trade, because you know what? In my opinion, it gets the people who already backed you the first time to come back again for something different, even though it's the same story.
I'll say this. We did black and white for 5 issues. Our highest selling black and white in IOB did 4,200 Canadian. The second we switched to color, that doubled. And then it doubled again. And then it doubled again to the point where we did the $30,000 campaign. Okay. We were black and white. That would never have happened.
That's going to be my suggestion too. Is like, if you do black and white, fine, that's cool. But cut your goal in half. And then it's probably going to be more insane.
Well, yeah, I mean, my point is this. Yes, I do black and white, but then, the goal is you do black and white, you release the trade's in black and white. Okay, that's fine.
Wrong.
You do whatever you're doing. And then eventually I will produce these same books in color. And they'll come out as comic books in color. And then I will do a trade as color. You understand? I mean, look, I've said this before. As independent publishers, we have to take as many bites out of that apple as we can, right? So, I mean, we got to it's expensive to do these books. We have to try to get that revenue back in there. You understand? And I mean, and it's constantly, look, I have like an investment of X, and I'm constantly recycling that investment, right? So I'm constantly trying to build on that and, just keep moving it forward. So, I mean, not to say that what you're saying is wrong, Jay. What I'm just saying is there's an extra step that probably could be fit in there and maybe expand a little bit to help you make a little bit more cash. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. So this is the thing. What I will take it from an artist perspective, and it's not totally impractical. First of all, what kind of crime story are you writing? Are you writing a noir one?
Right.
If you're writing noir, you can get away with black and white and keep it in gray tone. Now, if you want to do color, here's the thing. You could do partial color, like certain colors are highlighted. Like I've seen some comics like red or black or something. You don't have to color the whole page. Mm-hmm. So if that fits, go with it.
There's a step to that, Christy, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. And if you want to go color, I would recommend you kind of color it like Batman. It's like Gotham and Gaslight. That was where Batman meets the Ripper. So there's 3 options, but you have to look at what kind of story you're writing. If you're writing noir, you can get away with just gray, black, and white.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree 110% with Christy on that. I mean, because if you're going to do it, because you can add atmosphere. I mean, Matt Wagner did it a bunch of times in Grendel, right? He says, you would see the issues, it would be in black and white, and then you would have spots of red.
Oh, I keep forgetting. We got evidence right here. I keep forgetting. Our Ringo nominated book. It's black and white.
Yeah.
Then we have splashes of color. I don't know if I can find the example. Yeah. Then when the powers of the robot didn't activate, comes into
Nice.
these hues of blue. So 100%.
Now, did you do
Michael,
that?
you
Was
can
that-
do it.
Was that print on demand or was that offset printing?
That one we have it print on demand.
All right, so you paid. Can I ask? You don't have to answer this if you don't feel comfortable with it. But when you did those touches of single colors in the pages, did you end up paying full price for the print on demand for the whole book or just the pages? How did they charge you?
It was from a printer that I have a relationship with, so I didn't really get like the standard rate on it to begin with. And we did about 200 of those, I want to say.
Okay.
So I think they basically just gave us like the black and white rate, and then we got like a little bit of like our buddy.
All right, so they gave you all right. Oh, so you got a discount on top of the black and white rate.
Yep.
Okay, because with offset printing, right? That's where you do that single color because they're charging you on they're making plates, right? So you got the CMYK. So you get your black plate and you got your magenta plate. All right. If it is print on demand, you're still paying full color prices, right? Unless you got a relationship with them where they'll charge you black and white and a touch for those pages of color, and that's something that a lot of new creators don't understand and sometimes end up getting stung with on the budget because they don't know how to account for that properly.
Yeah, one of the other things, you can find specialty printers that have printers that print two colors. It'll print black and one other color. It could be red. Sometimes it'll be, sometimes it'll print two. You have with 3 color presses, so you can mix red and blue, and you can come up with different sepia tones and all kinds of stuff. If you're really artsy and you know what you're doing with colors and color seps, I've seen some people come up with some really, really interesting looking books. I've seen them back in the day. I haven't seen them any recently.
Pro tip too on all this: if you do black and white for the interiors, you fucking better bring it on the cover. That cover better fucking rock. You can't slide with so color covers on a black and white project. It has to, I guess, like make up for the lack of color on the inside. So really go for something cool.
And if you do that idea of just like sort of like one color in the black and white, I got to tell you, when you go to print, they're going to charge you for full color.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, I didn't hear that. I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Unless, of course, like I said, you can find a printer that, if you're doing offset, you can find a printer with a 2-color press, and then you can just have them insert those things into that other press. That's like complicated, inside baseball stuff if you really get into printing. But you know what? I wanted to answer Larry's question because the thing is like my last campaign, Magi's Grace, I had like nudes, I had all kinds of stuff. That campaign drove me absolutely nuts. I screwed it up in every way imaginable, I feel, but made it to goal. And, we're going to continue because I'm hard-headed. But the thing is I think it does help, right? When you do that sort of thing. But what I did was I separated the 2 companies. So I have Dreamweaver Press, which is what Oswald and Tall Tales is for. And then I have a new company called Angel Wing Productions. And Angel Wing, that's where I'm putting out Magi's Grace. I'll eventually put out something called Dreamweavers. I'll eventually put out something called Girls of Terror. And those are going to be the more adult style books. And I think if you're going to do that, the way you guys were talking about, damn it, I forgot his name. The other gentleman, where he separated his 2 companies, I think that's actually the way to go. Yeah, Pat Shand, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do it, you should separate the 2 so you understand that people understand that they know they're going to get this type of content from one place and one type of content from so that, I think that'll work out eventually. Way to be. Larry, you got any thoughts on it? It was your question.
I can see how people would feel that way. Especially if they, because there's a meta on Kickstarter, right? I truly believe there's a meta, and I can see people following the meta because I can see people copying my Kickstarter trying to do it. You know what I mean? And the meta is that, right now, and the meta will always change just like in video games, but, the hot female bad girl books tend to do fairly well on Kickstarter. You know, I remember saying to Tyler, I said to him, if you just follow the meta, I guarantee you'll fund without even having to promote it. And he did, you know what I mean? And then he went and promoted it and made even more money, you know? So, you know, like there's a guy named Scott the Flock Wilson. This is a book called The Flock. And he's a little nervous about, you know, going on Kickstarter with his book, with the onslaught of sort of sexy books, because, you know, he's trying to market a book to children, right? It's an all ages book. Problem is kids aren't on Kickstarter. You know what I mean? Kids don't have credit cards. You know, the people that are on Kickstarter that collect comics are more people that are from the 90s and nostalgia, and also speculators who want to get the covers and flip them. It's one of the two. Not you know, the 10-year-old that Scott wants to sell his book to, right? So those people that run on Kickstarter, yeah, I think they definitely do have an uphill battle versus you know, someone who's pumping out the next sort of like, you know, equivalent of Witchblade. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Sounds good to me. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody. We made it to the second hour. You guys are all awesome. Christie, please let everybody know where they can find you and your work.
Well, you can find me at horatorastudios.com, HORATORA studios.com. Hold on, I'm going to get this noodle fuck out of my arms and I can go ahead and throw that in there. And also you can find the link to my Kickstarter that way. But, you know, some of you guys already had found it, and thank you for dropping it in there. I appreciate it. But yeah, just go ahead. You can find everything about me, including my appearances, my store, everything. But yeah, if you haven't already, back the Kickstarter, tell all your friends and family about it, share it, because Facebook's a bitch, and I am very unhappy with them. Oh, thank you, Michael. Yes, please. I will go ahead and put the link down here. And I'm also on Linktree. It's the same one.
All right, Marcus, where can they find you and your work, sir?
It's easy enough, odysseycomics.com, and all roads will lead from there. Be sure to check it out this week, because we will be dropping UB's #1 and Critical Mass #1 will be available in our web store, and we're going to be running 30% off discounts for people to go ahead and grab those two. And same as always, we do flat rate shipping in the US and internationally. So the more you get, the better savings you get.
Nice. Mr. Jerry, where can they find you, sir?
I'm most active on Instagram. So it's at Thorny Comics on Instagram, and I'm same handle on Twitter, at Thorny Comics.
Cool. Larry, where can they find you, sir?
It's Niobe Comic on most like major social media, so like Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Though that's probably the one I use least. Maybe that's the answer to the question of what I need to pick up the speed more. Maybe more Instagram, you know. But I am there.
There's a lot of artists on there. That's what I've noticed. It's a lot of young artists.
Absolutely
on there.
Well, thank you, Michael. I designed that site myself, so I'm always gonna have people like it.
Nice. Mr. J, where can they find you, sir?
UnstoppableComics.com. The website will have all of our social media links there. You can find out what we're doing next, where we're going to be. And if you don't want to check out the site, I will tell you right now that New York Comic Con, booth 1948, we will be there right across from Crunchyroll. So
Nice.
You find them, you'll find us. And come by, check us out. We're going to be revealing some new things at the con.
Okay, very nice, very nice. You can find me here most Sundays, you know, and you can find me on Tall Tales Online, the Oswald Chronicles Online, on Kickstarter, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those places under JD Calderon. And just remember, everybody, all of these books that you've seen today are in the show notes. So you can click on all those links, you can pick up those books. All right, so you got a lot of awesome independent creators, and Jay, and you know, like, listen, if I don't shit on him at least 3 times a show, it's not a show.
Well, he's on my show; he gets a beating, so don't worry.
Exactly. Yes. So it's, trust me, it's mutual destruction whenever he gets a chance. You know. So thank you, everybody. You guys are all awesome, and please buy more independent comics, especially ours. Have a great night. Thank you.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye-bye.